So I first attended Agile Yorkshire back in December 2013. It was festive Agile lightning talks, a bit like what Steve just said is happening in this December. So there were a number of speakers that evening. It was held at the Round Foundry. Does anybody remember Agile Yorkshire days back then?
Yeah, that's old school.
Well, me and my partner were at the time were sharing a car, so I could only get there if I got a lift. So I was only able to go to a few of them because we worked on different parts of Leeds. Anyway, at the time I was an aspiring Scrum Master. I was a few months into my first role working in a technology department. I was working as a technology project facilitator, and prior to that I'd come from a really highly waterfall background working in rail in Newcastle, so I'm sure you can just imagine what that looks like. So it was a whole new world to me. It really does feel a little surreal to be stood here talking to you after being here as an attendee for so long. It's not you, it's me, that famous line. Who said it said to them? I have. Who said it to someone else? So for those of you I haven't met before, hello, I'm Lauren Ackroyd. I'm originally from the Northeast, but I have been living in Leeds for 11 years now, so I'm hoping you don't need subtitles. But if I do need to slow down, please tell me in case the inner Geordie comes out. I'm currently working as a lead Scrum Master for Sky News. So our teams work on everything from the elections. So half of our department's currently either on the way or heading towards London to support the event over the next sort of 48 hours. To bring you breaking news as well on our mobile apps. So if you've not got it, download it, it's free. Get that breaking news early. I've been a Scrum Master now since 2014. And I've been line managing, mentoring and coaching other Scrum Masters for the past 6 years. Outside of work, I have a 4-year-old son. I have a cat the size of a dog. He's a Maine Coon. I collect rare houseplants. I'm a big geek. And I also need to get outside or to the gym to remain sane. My passion is coaching. It's a skill I've been working on for many years and will continue probably for the rest of my life. It's a big journey. Over the past year, I've been delivering a lot of coaching training to either aspiring coaches or line managers, because I believe that coaching is truly a skill that is highly transferable no matter what role you're in. I love helping others to develop. It's a real passion. So I really do hope that this evening I tell you something that you can take away and try. So what do I actually want to talk to you about? I want to talk to you about how, as Scrum Masters or Agile coaches, in many cases, our focus is solely on improving our teams, how we can change them, how we can experiment with them, how we can make them more efficient whilst delivering more value, and whether we could actually have a greater impact if we change that focus. So, as Scrum Masters, we're actively encouraged and recruited to focus on improving the teams we work with. How is the Scrum Master actually defined? Well, I reminded myself by having a look at the Scrum Guide, and for your benefit, it's on the screen too. So, the Scrum Master is accountable for establishing Scrum, as defined in the Scrum Guide. They do this by helping everyone understand Scrum theory and practice, both within the Scrum team and the organisation. Scrum Master is accountable for the Scrum team's effectiveness. They do this by enabling the Scrum team to improve its practices within the Scrum framework. And the Scrum Masters are true leaders who serve the Scrum team and the wider organisation. I then looked at some current job descriptions for open roles of the Scrum Master to see where the focus of these roles would be. These are some of the requirements that were asked. So, support the team in identifying and addressing impediments to the attainment of goals, including taking action to remove impediments where appropriate. Another one about blockers, impediments. Proactively addressing the blockers and impediments in the delivery process. Lead on the identification of training and development needs for the team and individual members as needed. Encourage a culture of continuous improvement within the team. Identify opportunities for enhancing the development process, optimizing team performance, and increasing overall productivity. Nearly every single skill or attribute that I came across was focused on you improving the functioning of your team. They were focused outwards. In the words of Taylor Swift, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. Now, I'm not trying to be too dramatic or turn this into a Scrum Master bashing session, but have you considered your own ways of working as a Scrum Master and Agile coach, rather than just looking at your team? Yes, the Scrum Master is part of the Scrum team. I'm not disputing that. The Scrum Guide clearly says there is one Scrum Master, one product owner, and developers in the Scrum team. However, over the past 10 years, I've seen time and again Agilists solely focusing on the improvements that can be made to their team. And then I've also witnessed their frustration when that doesn't have the desired effect that they were hoping for. So I want to question, what would the impact be if you changed that approach? What if, instead of putting change upon your teams, you changed your way of working? What if, with a little more self-awareness, you can have a bigger impact on your team? So, I'd like to understand a little bit more about you here tonight. The fact that you're here tells me you probably enjoy learning and developing. You might like to hear from people that have the same mindset as you, or alternatively, you might like to hear from people that think very differently to you to challenge your thinking. So, if you could scan the QR code on the next slide and join my Slido, I'd really appreciate it. You can join the Wi-Fi as well. It's the Brentwood meeting rooms. Be our guest, if anybody is struggling. Let me know if you've managed to get on that, please. Yeah, folks in? Okay. Are you currently learning something new to help you develop your skills in your current role? Yes or no? And as if by magic, I've had 10 respondents. 21% more. Has everyone voted that wants to take part? Yeah? Okay, well, it's not a surprise. The fact that you're here, like I said, probably tells me that you like to learn and develop. So I was expecting an overall yes here. Next one. When was the last time that you asked for direct feedback on yourself? Okay. So it looks like you're all pretty good at asking for it regularly, so that's really impressive. When was the last time you took time for self-reflection?
There is not any option.
Okay, so a bit more of a distribution there, but majority within the last month. Again, that is impressive. Okay, thank you for taking part in that. Would you consider yourself self-aware? What even is self-awareness? Well, Dr. Tasha Eurich defines it as the ability to see ourselves, to understand who we are, how others see us, and how we fit into the world. Self-awareness gives us power. I'd like you to take a guess. As a percentage, how many people in Dr. Tasha Eurich's research thought they were already self-aware? As a percentage. Yeah?
90 were 20.
Okay. Anybody got an advance on that?
I think it was high. People are going to think they're already doing it. 80%. Yeah.
Okay. 90?
Ooh,
So we've had 90,
that challenge any
80s.
higher than 90. Yeah, everyone's a good driver.
So you
yeah.
think that actually might be too high? Well, it was actually 95% of people think that they're already self-aware. So our two 90s were the closest there. However, the real number is 12 to 15%. So Eurich goes on to say, and this really hit home, it means on a good day, about 80% of people are lying about themselves to themselves. Eurich cautions that introspection doesn't always improve self-awareness, not because it's ineffective, but simply because it isn't done right. You're likely to ask why questions, and research has also shown that we simply do not have access to the emotions, the motives, to actually get to those unconscious thoughts that we're searching for. Why questions can also be highly negative. Therefore, it's better to ask what questions, which leads me nicely on to the next slide. So these are some tools you might like to try. A quick Google, you'll find lots of tools available to improve your self-awareness. I've listed some here that I've personally used either at university or over the past 15 years of my career. Self-reflection is the first tool that I've listed. This is important for internal self-awareness, because there's two types of self-awareness, internal and external. One thing to be careful when you are using self-reflection is to not spend too long focusing on the negatives, because the research also shows that that can be detrimental to your self-awareness. Think of actions that you can take forward when you're doing this. The two tools that I've suggested are forward thinking and actionable. I always base my coaching conversations on what questions. So a tool that I'd highly recommend would be Rolf et al.'s 2001 reflective model. What, so what, now what? Sounds really simple, but you're actually asking yourself some really powerful questions. First step, what? The question could be, what is the problem? What was the situation? What were you hoping for? What did you learn? What was good? What was bad? Then you move on to the next step. So what? For the second step, some examples are, so what does this tell me? So what could you have done differently? And then the third and final step, now what? Now what do I need to do to improve this situation or problem? Now what might be the impact if I do this? So there you are, getting the action and being forward thinking. Another tool that I'm sure some of you are probably already familiar with is Agile Coaching PI. It's a free tool from Comparative Agility. You can track your progress over a period of time. You basically answer a set of survey questions. I think there's 42. And they give you a set of recommendations as well. Feedback, the one that's probably the most obvious. It's great to improve personal awareness, but it's your external self-awareness. It's not your internal, so just be careful with that. 360-degree feedback is probably the one that we're all most familiar with, where you get feedback from those all around you, your peers, your subordinates, your hires. You can also add in self-assessment too, if you wish. What I found, I'm sure some of you have, give me a nod if you have, that people really struggle to give constructive feedback. You just don't seem to get it. Now, if you're finding that you are receiving only superficial feedback that isn't going to help you grow, maybe consider approaching it in a different way. Could you ask a line manager to collect it on your behalf? Within your teams, if you've got a great personal relationship or rapport with them, sit them down one-on-one and tell them it's a safe space to be as frank and honest as they can be. You could also set up a form online that's anonymous, and someone could just give anonymous feedback. The best feedback is actionable, so you must also consider the questions that you're asking. Don't just ask, what am I doing well? What am I not doing well? The best feedback is given when the questions are specific. A new version of 360-degree feedback is just an extension. It's called feedback circles, and you ask people who interact with the person that are external to them, rather than just their immediate team. There are also many personality tests that you can take. The first three that I've listed here do have a cost associated, so please be mindful of that if you do try them. One of the more famous ones is Belbin team roles that I'm sure we've all heard of at some point in our lives. There are 9 defined team roles according to Belbin. Belbin states, to build high-performing teams, we need to represent each of the 9 Belbin team role behaviours at appropriate times. And that through using Belbin team roles, it will give you self-aware individuals who can adapt their behaviours to the changing business needs at appropriate time. It is worth considering, though, that your profile is likely to change. So if you've been through a big process of growth and development, take the test again, because it might have changed. 16 personalities is one I would highly recommend you take. It is free, so that's a win. I had our leadership team do this, and also my team of Scrum Masters do it. And one person on the leadership team went as far as to tell me that they thought the test knew them better than they knew themselves. And to be honest, I kind of thought the same, so it's a really good one to try, and it's pretty quick. Journaling is a way of self-observation. What you learn about yourself in a given situation. Do you have any self-limiting beliefs that you want to change? What positive impact are you having? Now, something to be mindful again, excuse the pun, with journaling, is that not everybody does it right. And if you're not doing it right, you could have a negative impact. You should use the research that's out there. So have a little look. I'm happy to chat about it after this, but I didn't want to go into too much detail. But the big takeaway for me as well from the research is that you don't actually have to do it every day. And I think that's a mistake often people make, that they feel if they start a journal, they have to do it every single day. But the research shows that you can still improve your self-awareness if you're not doing it every day. So, over the past 10 years, I've worked with and line managed many Scrum Masters, and I've observed many of the same traits. This also extends, in my experience, to those in senior or leadership positions that interact with the teams. I've spent time coaching both Scrum Masters and leaders to consider their approach. Who here is presented with a problem by a colleague, a team member, and you immediately respond with fix-it mode? Ha, I can solve your problem for you. You see something not quite working right, and you offer a solution when you've not even been asked for one. You struggle with the silence in meetings, so you offer an opinion just to fill the space. Have you considered that that's a problem? Please stop it. Often people will raise problems when they already have a solution in mind. They just want validation or a sounding board. When you fill that space with your own solution, you are removing their autonomy and you're removing their power. Stop it. Give the other person space. As you develop your self-awareness, I imagine you'll either observe yourself doing these things and stopping it, or you might cringe when you think back to a past experience when you've done it. I know I have. Is anybody in here willing to say that they've done one or a few of these things? Seeing quite a few nods, yeah. We've all done it, nobody's perfect, and it definitely takes some work to change your approach. So when you're busy thinking of a solution as someone is talking to you, I guarantee you're not listening to what's being said. There are actually 3 levels of listening as defined by Whitworth et al. It's part of the coactive coaching. Level 1 is internal listening. At this level, you're focused on yourself. You're hearing what the speaker is saying, but you're interpreting it as to how it affects you rather than the speaker. Level 2 is focused listening. At this level, you're conscious of what is happening in the speaker. You're using the speaker's language, you're repeating back, you might be asking questions to clarify what they're saying, you are connected. Level 3 is global listening. At this level, you are still connected. However, you're aware of what is going on in and around you both. Some examples are being the speaker's tone of voice, their body language, etc. When I'm in a coaching conversation and we kind of get to one of those aha moments, I might ask the person that I'm coaching if I can offer an observation. And if they give me their permission, I might share something I've observed about their body language. When there's an aha moment, we sort of do this sort of thing. Or if it's a bit of an uncomfortable conversation, they immediately do this with that, defensive body language. And I'll ask them, what do they think that means with that thing I've observed? So we really do want to get to the position of level 3, listening. I'd like you all to try something. I'm hoping as Agilists, this isn't going to be too shocking. If you work with me, you might have done this before. But could you get into 2s or 3s if we've got an odd number, please? You need to be sitting beside someone or in an area where you can talk to another person, if that's all right. Yeah? Okay, so could you assign yourselves either a number 1 or a number 2? Or if you're in a small group, we need a 3 as well. Are we happy? Who's number 1s in the group? Yeah? Yeah? 1? Okay. Number 1s. I would like you... Number 1s, I would like you to tell your partner or your pair that are working with you about the first holiday you can remember going on. Number 2s and 3s, you are not allowed to speak. I'm going to set a timer and tell you when it's done. Any questions, or is everybody okay with that? Wait and see. Go. Okay, time's up. How did it feel to be intently listened to for only 2 minutes?
That was about 3/4 of an hour.
I noticed some of the conversations dwindling, and to me, it's because nobody gives you 2 minutes of their time to truly listen to you, right? Who struggled to keep quiet when you were listening? Wanted to ask questions, wanted to dig deep? Yeah? Interesting. Is anybody willing to share how they found that?
It was right for the first minute, and then I kind of ran out, and I was just sitting there going, what do I say? It was sunny, it still was sunny. Oh, no. Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Chris was guessing what might be interesting to me.
Yeah.
And also not being able to, or being able to relate to the conversation,
Yeah.
and also, yeah, that happened to me, and that, and it's just the
And 2 minutes is not a long time.
no.
And the majority of people there said it was a struggle. Yeah, yeah. Dean could talk all day, it's fine. So another really easy experiment that you could try is to see how many how and what questions you can ask someone in a conversation. What and how questions show that you're really interested in what the other person is telling you and that you're listening intently. I'd like you to maybe try going home, talking to a family member, a partner, a friend, or maybe a colleague in the office tomorrow and see how many how and what questions you can ask before someone gets suspicious. Because it's not natural, because you're never really truly listened to. There's a great quote that is, what a gift it is to be truly listened to, because it's so rare. And if you do it and you try it, please reach out to me afterwards and let me know how many you managed to ask. It's my belief that as Agilists, what we're aiming for is to have a growth mindset. I also believe that to have a growth mindset, you need to be self-aware. Truly believe that the two go hand in hand. The good news is self-awareness is a skill that can be developed. It's not set. Now, growth mindset is defined by Harvard Business Review as individuals who believe their talents can be developed. They have a growth mindset. They tend to achieve more than those with a fixed mindset. This is because they worry less about looking smart and put more energy into learning. When entire companies embrace a growth mindset, their employees report feeling more empowered and committed, and they also receive greater organisational support for collaboration and innovation. The key messaging from that quote to me is that those with a growth mindset tend to achieve more, they feel empowered, and they're more committed. Now, at the start of this talk, I shared some of the requirements on open Scrum Master roles. I didn't find a single one looking for growth mindset or someone with great self-awareness. And that's pretty shocking to me. If you're willing to learn something new and adapt your approach, you have a growth mindset. Becoming self-aware and identifying areas for growth is so important. I'm always looking for Scrum Masters to join my team that have great growth mindset and are self-aware. I list it in a job description, and one of my favourite interview questions is, what are you currently learning? I think you really can tell a lot from a person of what they're investing their time in. So, investing in yourself is only going to help those around you, so make time to do it. I also said at the start that I believe changing your focus could have a greater impact on your teams. To have self-aware teams who are more effective, they need a leader to model the way. I believe this is the role of the Scrum Master or the Agile coach. If you are able to identify any self-limiting beliefs and how your behaviour impacts others, you can make changes to your approach, and that should have a positive impact on your teams. Whether this is giving them autonomy that you didn't realise you were taking from them, increasing their psychological safety that you didn't realise was hindered, or maybe giving them the opportunity to inspect and adapt a process rather than you doing it for them. Help give your team power. If you leave tonight and try one of the tools that I've shared or one of the experiments I've suggested, please do reach out and let me know. I've shared my personal email address. I'm happy to have a chat about anything. And if you are on LinkedIn, QR code takes you to LinkedIn, I promise. So please feel free to scan it and connect. I'm more than happy to chat to you. Thank you.